Today, Monday 15th, ushers in the week that we have all been looking forward to as Ugandans. Some with a lot of hope, others with a lot of anxiety, and this has been informed by the trends that we have observed in the run-up to the elections. Increasing levels of intolerance, spurts of violence around the country, the seeming do-or-die affair around the elections, and the enthusiasm that the voters have, especially with regard to the candidates, and sometimes a feeling of we win or they lose, or we win or they lose. And so we think that the Women's Situation Room is a strategic intervention that is going to play a critical role in mitigating conflict and violence around the elections.
The Women's Situation Room started in Liberia during the 2011 presidential and legislative elections, when the women of Liberia saw us escalating towards violence and decided it was unacceptable, especially after our civil war. The women, led by Angie Brooks International Center for Women's Empowerment, Leadership Development, International Peace and Security, decided to embrace the youth who were the perpetrators of violence. The youth were taught how to be peace ambassadors and how to engage into peer-to-peer peace advocacy.
The Women's Situation Room is an early warning and rapid response mechanism or platform whose objective is to identify early situations that are about to erupt and to try and mitigate electoral violence. I say mitigate because we're not in a position to stop the violence, but we can at least mitigate it.
I am in the Women's Situation Room because I know it is a powerful mechanism that helps to preempt violence and misunderstandings during elections.
The Situation Room, I believe, is a great innovation, particularly when you see what is happening in other countries and even within Uganda in the past, where we've had violence because women did not have opportunity to get involved in deciding for the nation.
The Women's Situation Room in Uganda has a steering committee that is comprised of a number of organizations: Akina Mama wa Africa, the Uganda Women's Network, the Uganda Media Women's Association, the Center for Women in Governance, Action for Development, African Youth Development Link, National Association of Women's Organizations in Uganda. And on behalf of my colleagues, the co-conveners, ISIS Wiki and Institute for Social Transformation, we would like to warmly welcome you to the opening of the physical Women's Situation Room. The three of us that are co-convening the Women's Situation Room in Uganda have, over the past 20 years, been working in the area of the promotion of women's role in governance, working on issues of security and peace, conflict resolution, and the equal participation of women and men in governance and democratic processes. And as we approached the 2016 elections, we sat and thought how we could make a meaningful contribution to the upcoming election.
In 2014, UN Women commissioned a global study that analyzed the incidence of violence during the elections and identified factors that inhibit women's political participation. The study found that more than 60% of women did not participate in politics due to fear of violence. Almost 90% of the women in those countries felt that violence broke their resolve to join politics.
So over the past 5 months, we have done assessment missions. We have identified 15 districts, hotspot districts, in which we are going to be doing most of our work.
In central Uganda, we have Sembabule, Bukoma Nsimbi, Kampala, and Luwero. In eastern Uganda, we have Kamuli, Mbale, and Soroti. In northern Uganda, we have Lira, Gulu, and Arua. And in western Uganda, we have Kanungu, Rukunjiri, Kabale, Ntungamo, and Isinjiro. Now, when you think about those districts, you will agree with us that those are the districts that have experienced violence during the party primaries, especially the NRM party primaries, and during the campaigns.
We have built networks of women and youth that are in the 15 districts doing a lot of groundwork, talking to their peers, and encouraging the citizens to ensure that we have a peaceful election, and that even when things go wrong, whatever we do is within the law. So we've done a lot of groundwork. Some people have been saying, how come we are only hearing of the Situation Room? A lot of work has been done, and through the physical room, we are now going through our 450 observers to get incidents reported into the room that the eminent women will then help with resolving.
That is 30 observers from each of the districts. And these ones will go out on election day, and they will be armed with the with the electoral law, and also they have been trained in understanding the electoral offenses. And therefore, if they see anything at the polling station that is likely to end in violence, they will phone it into the physical women's situation room.
When we are in the situation room, there is actually a call center to which all the women from all over Uganda will be calling, and it will be working 24/7. We shall be working shifts, so whatever incident takes place, we shall be ready to work on it immediately.
Okay, welcome to the call center. This is the Women's Situation Room's call center. In the call center, we've got the legal analyst, just here by my left, the political analyst. It's going to be operating 24/7.
Our job is to actually listen to those women. In fact, if they don't contact us, then we are just wasting our time. Our job is to network, listen, and act on information we shall be getting during and after the elections.
Our efforts are not enough. We depend on each and every one of you to be vigilant and also be committed to the peace and peaceful elections in the country. As we head towards the final phase of the campaigns and into the elections, I want to urge all of you to work with us, work with the Women's Situation Room, and report whatever incidents that you see, so that we can respond and ensure that people go about the exercise, especially on voting day, without any intimidation.
We also involve these young people because we had to think beyond our no to see how we can mitigate this. So we had different scenarios, because if you look at these young people, for them they can't come and converge in a workshop and you tell them, and they don't have your time to sit with you to listen to you, but they have the time to always watch at. So we were taken up by what inspires them most. So they are like more comfortable with this kind of message, and it's what we designed there.
Everybody in Uganda is really anxious for peace, but you never know what happens. So that's why we are here to try to avert or to minimize the escalation of any violence that may be occurring.
I'm so proud that you've come out to fight for Uganda. But I am begging you that this does not start with and stop with elections. I am praying and hoping that as soon as elections are over, you summon me here again to discuss the way forward. I am praying that tomorrow I'll be able to vote as soon as possible and come and join you here.
Today, I just came to see what you are doing, but really you are doing a great job, because when the elephants fight, the grass is the one which, suffers. You may not be down there, but your role as a woman, as a mother, the youth, they normally suffer if there is war. So it is really important that we don't encourage violence and destructive tendencies in our country. I'm one person who likes Uganda, and I'm very pleased that you're on board, but what took you so long? You should have been here yesterday.
We have to be very careful that we're not being perceived as being a player in this whole process, because that would not be correct.
This is a very important signal that of the rush to have an active participation and to express, and I do hope that there will be time available for them to. So thank you again very much for all your actions, your determination, and your welcoming words.
Engages in violence, the other people will retaliate by killing the mother, killing their daughters, and killing their wives. So they are putting it into a sector, putting the youth, especially the males.
And if the youth can be made to understand that what we have got, although it may not, the process may not be perfect, but what we have got reflect the true will of the people of this country. I believe we will be able to douse the possibility of violence.
Thank you for those who already signed our peace cloth. Please write your names and organizations if possible.
To support Women's Situation Room for the benefit of women, youth and peace in Uganda.
The Women's Situation Room Uganda opened at the Sheraton Kampala Hotel on February 15, 2016. The WSR's eminent women of Uganda and Africa and the group of the wise have been holding strategic engagements with various political parties, candidates, representatives, religious leaders such as the Interreligious Council of Uganda, election observer delegations, electoral commission and security agencies to ensure that peace prevails before, during and after elections. The Situation Room has worked with the Electoral Commission, Uganda Police Force and the Uganda People's Defense Forces to ensure expedited response to incidents received. A call center with a toll-free number was set up to receive incidents from the WSR observers and the general public. We have key observations. Between 15th and 21st February, the Women's Situation Room Uganda received and dealt with over 1,415 calls from the 15 districts in which observers are stationed and other parts of the country. Parts of the country earlier not predicted as hotspots, such as Rakai, became hotspots in this election, and incidents were reported to the WSR. Half of the calls were voters inquiring about the voting process, which showed serious limitations in voter education. In the absence of the Electoral Commission's desk within our room, WSR worked to facilitate the acquisition of relevant information and contacts of the Electoral Commission to voters. The incidents reports received were mainly related to the following: voter bribery, delays in voting, missing polling stations, missing voting materials, missing names on the voter register, allegations of pre-ticked ballots, unsealed voting materials, intimidation from security organs, intimidation among opposing supporters of political parties, as well as clashes between police and supporters in various parts of the country. The WSR also noted cases of violence and threats of violence reported from various parts of the country and worked closely with the Uganda People's Defense Forces and the Uganda Police to address them. Each of these institutions had a desk within the WSR. The youths of Uganda also had a desk in the room which assisted in resolving issues in which they were directly involved. The bulk of the cases came from the central region and were about the electoral process. Security-related cases requiring police attention came second, while fewer cases were directed for resolution through the UPDF desk in the Situation Room. Eminent women observed polling at the various locations and noted a high participation of women as voters, observers, agents of candidates, and electoral officials.